This film is intended for eye surgeons for training and education purposes. Viewer discretion is strongly recommended.
Welcome colleagues. Today we aren't just looking at a surgery, we are looking at a masterclass in the surgical domino effect. This is a case involving an 80-year-old patient with pseudoexfoliation and a grade 4 nuclear cataract. In our profession, we often celebrate the perfect 6-minute phaco, but in this case, things don't go as planned. And this is a case to demonstrate that when things don't go the way we want, and it's a cycle and it's very difficult to control, and it has a domino effect. So this case is all about analysis and introspection. This case had one of my most difficult intraoperative situations, and as we go through it, I want you to look closely at where the dominoes began to tip. See, awareness is such a critical aspect of our surgery, and we need to be aware and focus at every time. The first touch of the needle, look at the intercapsule. These wrinkles are a loud warning. The zonules are weak. So I deliberately perform a 5mm Rhexis here. Why? Because in PXF, we must always have a plan B. If the zonular loss is significant and global, a smaller well-centered Rhexis allows the optic capture and give us stable anchor for the lens that the bag can no longer provide. We use it as the IOL trap technique with the haptics in the sulcus and the optic in the bag. Hydro-dissection is a critical step. As fluid is injected, the nucleus is gently moves up and I can decompress the bag and I confirm that the nucleus is relatively mobile. So this was a heartening sign. It was alright. But definitely the zonules were not healthy. So that was the first domino. Let us see where the cascade begins. Now here is where the complexity peaks. Now dealing with the 4+ nucleus requires significant manipulation, and because the zonules are weak, I lacked the counter traction needed to chop efficiently. I'm being as gentle as possible, trying to get a fair degree of purchase of the nuclear fragment and then trying to score it. And I've done about say 5 or 6 fragments. But the last fragment is slightly bigger and my division was not successful. Anyways, I go in and pull out the adjacent fragment, emulsify it. And now I'm going back to this fragment. And this was the start of the domino. This fragment was slightly bigger. And because it was bigger, when the fragment was being pulled out, the bag also comes along with it. And as the bag comes along with it, I'm trying to disengage the nucleus. It is not disengaging. And at this time, the sleeve of the tip is in the incision. And during these couple of seconds, as it is being disengaged, the fluid has gone into the wound, and my worst fear is probably it has caused a DMD, a Descemet's detachment. At this moment, I'm not sure about it. This is a critical moment. When the sleeve jams, the high pressure irrigation fluid from the phaco tip has no way to exit but it can through the wound, but it is forced into the only available space, the interface between the stroma and the Descemet's membrane. And this will act as a liquid wedge, rapidly and massively stripping the membrane away. At this point, because the visualization is so muddled, I really can't see it very clearly. So as the viscoelastic is being placed into the eye, I can see a faint line here. And I'm just suspecting that this could be the area of the detachment. I'm not sure about it. So at this point, the massive complexities are there. My zonules are weak. 80% of the nucleus is still there. And my cornea is now compromised because of a suspected Descemet's detachment. So this is when again you go in and take the pause for a couple of minutes and plan your strategies accordingly. The first thing would be try to replenish OVD, push back the suspected DMD back to its original place, if it is possible. Next would be to stabilize the bag, use a CTR. In this case, at that moment, the 11 to 13 mm was available and I go in and place the CTR. Nevertheless, each of these fragments are broken into smaller fragments, and each of these fragments is gently pulled out and emulsified in a very controlled manner. There was a moment where the iris was trying to come out, and again we had to push it back, make the eyeball soft, replenish again with OVD, and then proceed with the emulsification of the fragments in a controlled manner. So it took a significantly long time for us to deal with the nuclear fragments, and finally the fragments are out. When the red glow, the demarcation line is now very clear. But at this stage, I'm not sure whether which part of the descent is detached, either the inferior portion or the superior portion. That I'm still clueless. Aspirating the cortex is another challenging aspect. As I'm trying to aspirate the cortex, you can see that the bag is trying to come along with the cortex. So hang on. Stop the cortex aspiration, go back and redo hydro-dissection. That's what I'm trying to do. By doing this hydro polish, you're going to loosen up the cortex, and this would help us to aspirate the cortex in a much more automatic way. The trick here to aspirate the cortex is engage the cortex in a very low vacuum, bring the probe a little bit down so that you don't engage the anticapsule, and then I move the probe sideways gently and then make a tangential sweeping motion so that the cortex is swept across the CTR and then it's aspirated out. This is a simple technique to deal with the cortex. Now if you're not careful, you're going to lose the bag at this stage itself. Carefully, every bit of the cortex is aspirated out. Time to put in the lens, but before that I would just like to see the extent of the DMD. Everything is now wrinkled. I am not able to see the extent. I go in with my irrigation cannula with a very low bottle height, and as the OVD is being washed off, the true extent of the DMD comes in picture. You can see the entire inferior half is torn, it's crumpled, and this irrigation is going to help me to get rid of some of the OVD which is in the interface between the descents and the stroma. Time to place in the lens now. Cohesive OVD is placed in the antechamber. It again flattens out the descent membrane. The planned multi-piece lens is placed in the sulcus. The OVD in front of it and behind is irrigated out. The optic is pushed back to achieve the optic capture. And now is the time to deal with the descent membrane detachment. The two incisions are sutured, and I'm going to use C3F8 gas to provide the tamponade. So why C3F8? Let us discuss about the choice of the device for tamponade. So for a detachment of this size, especially the inferior one, where buoyancy works against us, air or even SF6 gas is often insufficient, at least in my experience. Air lasts just for 1 through 3 days. It's not long enough for the endothelial pump to recover. SF6 lasts a week, but we need more. So 12% C3F8 provides about 4 to 8 weeks of tamponade, and that's the reason why I've chosen this. The fill which I've achieved is around 80 to 90%. These are the serial photographs of the first day, the third day. But unfortunately, by the 6th day, the gas bubble has shrunk a little bit, and we can see that the inferior 1/3 of the DM has detached, and there is a significant amount of corneal edema. So this is what happens whenever we have situation where the OVD has entered the interface between the descent membrane and the stroma. The reattachment rates are very poor. So I need to go back and rebubble it, and I'm going to use 30 gauge needle, go to the superior quadrant and push in the gas bubble, the same 12% C3F8, and monitor the eye very closely because these eyes are vulnerable to develop a pressure spike. Although we have done an inferior iridectomy to safeguard from it, but still close watch is mandatory. And we're monitoring the patient every third day, and by 15th day, the DM remains attached and there is no redetachment at this stage. The cornea is getting clearer, and eventually over a period of 1 month, we see that the cornea is cleared, the IOL well centered, and the patient and the doctor are relieved. The surgeon's mirror, that's the introspection. Now, if I had a second chance, what would I have done differently in this scenario. This is the most important part of any surgery, introspection. The first one would be early intervention. I would have inserted hooks or CTR immediately after hydro-dissection once the zonular instability was confirmed. Waiting for a longer time for the bag to collapse was not a great idea. The fragment management. This was probably the most critical step. Even if I had not supported the bag, I should have spent more time dividing the nucleus into much smaller fragments. Attempting to move a large piece in a weak bag is what pulled the complex and jammed the sleeve. The other option would have been to ignore the larger fragment, deal with all the multiple smaller fragments first, and then deal with the large piece later on. By that time, the bag would have been empty, and it was unlikely that the weak bag would be pulled along with the nucleus. Third would be wound awareness. Preventing the stuck sleeve would be a possible thing. Should be aware that never go towards the wound. By following that principle, probably we would have been in a better situation. Conclusion. As a surgeon, it's important for us to introspect. And introspection isn't about looking back with regret. It's about the continuous refinement of a surgeon's skill and judgment. Every complex challenge we encounter serves as a vital building block for our pursuit towards bettering our craft. So there are 3 important takeaway points. Number 1, respect the red flags. Wrinkles in the capsule mean trouble is coming, better be prepared. Small fragments save bags. In situations with global zonulopathy or significant zonular weakness, one can reduce the mechanical load on the zonules by breaking the fragments into multiple smaller fragments. So when we then aspirate these fragments, we are unlikely to pull the bag along with it. Number 3, long-acting gas for large inferior descemet membrane detachments or tears. C3 if it gives the endothelium the time it needs to heal in such situations. This is especially critical in situations where we're forced to use OVD intraoperatively, and once the OVD contaminates the interface between the descements and the stroma, the reattachment process takes a very long time, and the endothelial pump for it to start doing its job, it really long time. Until then, we require an agent which provides a long-standing tamponade effect. So that was it. So thank you for joining me in this look at the surgical domino effect. Stay curious, stay humble always. And as surgeons, it's vital that we introspect. I'm Dr. Deepak Megur, and I'll see you in the next case.